Hi, welcome. It's Donetta here, keeper of the lost arts at a life uncommon. I wanted to welcome you today to a topic that sounds like a lot of you have curiosity about, and that is bead finishes. So there are many different bead finishes, and you see the collection behind me on the wall. They're organized by bead finish. And so every hank that I buy, I take 2 or 3 strands off hank and put it in tube up on the bead wall. I'm a very visual artist, so this helps me. I'm going to take you over to the hanks because I think you'll be able to see the finishes more readily on the hanks. So I've positioned us over here near the hanks. I'm hoping that you'll be able to see the finishes better on hank. I want to discuss with you the different finishes, give you a basic description of them, basic explanation, whether or not the colors may change or fade due to bright light or sun UV light or deteriorate with time, whether the colors may rub off from friction or contact with skin acids, and whether the colors will alter or fade from dry cleaning or exposure to strong solvents. These issues matter depending where the beads will lie, whether on a garment, on a moccasin, on an earring. You get the idea. Certain beads should not be used, for example, on a garment that you're going to need to dry clean. These things you need to know in order to get the most for your value of your beads. It's a crying shame to finish a product or to be in the middle of it like many of you are now, and you find the dyes rubbing off on your fingers. Well, let's talk about those problems, and let's talk about the different bead finishes. On this here, I have all of my different hanks. I'm going to bring you in a little bit. All right. The first one that I want to address, and I may say the word wrong, I'm not real sure, Ceylon. Ceylon beads are often pearlized. They have a luster coating or inside coloring of opalescent beads. There's no problem with color change with regular use. And there's no problem with whether they would rub off with regular use. And there's no problem when there's dry cleaning. Ceylon are usually in pastel colors. I have to bring you over to the tubes for this one. Okay. I don't have very many Ceylon and hank, but if you can see these beads here, these are my Ceylons. And they usually come in a pastel range of colors. Ceylon is one of your best bets for not having to worry about fading or deterioration of your beads. The next finish that we'll talk about is a Duracoat. Duracoat is durable clear coating on dyed or galvanized beads, and there's no problem with use as far as the color of the UV light. There may be a problem with individual use over time, and there may be a problem with the durability with chemicals. So with Duracoat, you want to be careful and consider that you probably shouldn't use it on a garment that you're going to dry clean. Dyed color. Now herein lies the culprit that most of you are struggling with. Dyed color on the surface of the beads. Some issues with durability by individual use. It's not highly durable, and care is required for use, and it's not durable for having anything that you're going to dry clean. Dyed beads are one of the biggest problems. If you have dyed beads, don't throw them out. Get some eye pins and some head pins and use the beads on earring or necklace parts where it's not going to rub, it's not going to touch. Something like a chandelier earring where it's not going to be against the skin. So there are uses for dyed beads, but for the most part, I avoid them like the plague. Well, maybe not quite like the plague, but you got my point. Now, galvanized. Galvanized beads are up here. Okay, these are galvanized beads. There may be some issue with galvanized beads with durability. They're not highly durable and they're not okay for doing any dry cleaning or any solvents. That's including makeup, by the way. So galvanized is something that you want to kind of watch for how you're using it. I usually use my galvanized beads for accents. I very rarely will do a whole piece with galvanized beads, because by the time you're done with a whole piece, especially if you're doing 2 needle, by the time your hands rub on the piece. Now, color-lined beads, they're dyed color inside the hole of the bead. Some issues with durability, and there's no problem as far as it rubbing off. The color line is on the interior in the hole of the bead, so you don't have to worry about them rubbing off. But they're not good for dry cleaning. These are my lined beads, and colored lined beads are usually transparent glass of different colors laid over the top of the hole. The hole has the color, a secondary color in it. Color-lined beads can have more than one color. These ones, the outside is kind of a blue-violet and the inside is pink. These are real good for using with handwork. The colors won't wear off. Luster beads. These are lusters. Luster is a finish. It's a standard clear luster coating. Luster can be on opaque or transparent or even semi-transparent beads. When you see in the description that it is luster, what that means is that it's coated with a clear finish that makes them wonderful. Luster beads, hands down. They are a beautiful finish that reflects light also. Now, metal-lined beads. These are the metal-lined hanks. These are all silver-lined. Silver-lined beads have a metal lining inside the hole. It's often silver, gold, or copper. They may have some issues with durability, and they also may have some issues along the line of UV. It's not the UV that troubles them. What troubles them is humidity and sunlight. The best place to store your silver or metal lined beads is in a dark place, and I usually use oxidation packages with mine. Okay, rainbow or AB. These are rainbow finished. Rainbow or AB, which is short for Aurora Borealis, like the Northern Lights, it's a coating on the outside of the beads, and it's a good thing. They don't give any problems with sun or wear off or any of those things. So if you're looking for another really good one, it's rainbow. That's a real good finish for your beads. Now silk, these are covered with a coating called Sol Gel. 2 or 3 of my different lines have Sol Gel coating. Sol Gel is a clear coating that's put on it for durability, and it's a good thing when you see that. These are silks, and they are hex cut. Sol Gel is a color applied through a specialized coating treatment, and they do have some issue with dry cleaning, but usually they're pretty good. Now, metal plated beads. Metal plated, special metal plating on the outside of the bead, such as silver, gold, or nickel, sometimes copper. There's no problem with dry cleaning, there's no problem with sun, but there could be problems with humidity, so you have to kind of watch that. Opaque is your other finish here, and opaque beads that are through and through will be excellent for your purpose. Do not get white hearts that are modern. White hearts that are modern are just what they say. The glass of the bead on the inside is white, and then they put the color on top of the outside. Those are bad. Those are bad for certain uses. Any use that you're going to be touching it a lot, so you wouldn't want to use white heart. I'm talking about the modern white hearts, not my antique white hearts. My antique white hearts, they're as good as a through and through. But the modern white hearts, they dip it in color, and that stuff just wears off. So you don't want to use modern white hearts for anything that you're going to handle. Now, Precocia, the treatment and durability, cosmetics with Precocias, ordinarily cosmetics do not affect the glass and surface treatment. The surface layer does not dissolve. Neither the glass nor the surface treatment chemically reacts or interacts with fabric or the skin, with the exception of Terra. You can see that the new factory created a line called Terra Intense. Those rub. I would only use those in applications where you're not going to touch them a lot. Or say if you're doing a brick stitch earring where you don't have to handle it that much to create it. They're okay for that. But the Terra Intense, I wouldn't make a necklace or do a large 2-needle piece. By the time you're halfway through the finish, you'll be gone. Other things to consider with durability with beads is perspiration. When used for usual decorative purpose, seed beads are not negatively affected by perspiration. The surface treatment remains stable. This is pretty much true with some caveats. Some people have very acidic perspiration. And if you're one of those, I would be extra careful about what type of bead you use. Storage. The shelf life of beads will increase when stored in a dark, dry place. Color fastness. Color beads are color fast when stored in a dark, dry place when used for common garment and jewelry applications. Seed beads maintain the same color. The color fastness has been tested according to a European standard. That's Precocia. other lines of beads or not. So I'm telling you about my collection and why I chose this line of beads. Silver lining. Silver lining may change the color when exposed to substances containing sulfur, acid, or chlorine. So with your silver lines, you never want to wash a garment with chlorine if you've got a silver line application on it. Silver lining decays when exposed to those substances, or if the silver lining's surface is mechanically scratched. So when you're beading with silver lines, you need to use care. You never want to let your needle scratch the inside of your silver line. Silver lining may discolor when stored in extreme heat and humidity. If you are back east, one of the things that I do is in all my metals, these little silica packs you get in things that you purchase, I always store them, I keep them, and I repurpose them in my drawers of metals. And yes, you're right, you caught on that I've got my silver lines and my copper lines hanging here in the room. They should be stored a little differently, and they have been for years, but just this summer I brought out my hanks to hang up on my thing here. I'm just going to read real quickly. Hopefully I can read this quickly. So pay attention and I'll try to read this quickly for you. I'm going to let you enjoy the beautiful color of the beads though. Okay. Aurora borealis. Named for the northern lights, aurora borealis is a term for crystals or stones that have a highly iridescent surface. Ceylon, a pearl luster finish. Sometimes the color of this bead fades when exposed to strong sunlight. Duracoat, a strong coating that is applied to the outside of a Miyuki seed bead. This durable coating is thicker and stronger than traditional coatings, and it makes it ideal for high use items. Now, mind you, that is a Miyuki seed bead, not the ones that we're talking about here. Miyuki, I think though some of my Prakosia has Duracoat on it. But it's a finish that's usually found in Miyukis. So if you're not using check beads and you want to use the perfection of a Miyuki, they're more of a cylinder bead. I didn't talk about shapes of beads. That's another topic. But yeah, iris is another finish that we didn't talk about. Iris beads are usually done on dark beads, and it's a finish that's put on it to make it iridescent. Luster means it's used on transparent, opal, or opaque beads with a transparent, uniform, slightly shiny finish that is usually permanent. Finishes may be white, colored, or even gold. Matte finish. Matte is another one that we didn't talk about very much. I don't have very many of them. I love them though. It's a finish that has a dulled or less shiny, perhaps frosty appearance. Light does not reflect off of its surface, and so it makes it a really good tool when you're doing a piece of art where you don't want light to come back at your eye. Matte's really wonderful for that. You can also make your own matte beads by dipping them in dip and etch. Matte iridescent beads are both iridescent and matte, and these cannot be etched. I know that the Prakosia line at Fire Mountain Gems, that's where I got mine, and I got a whole line that are treated with Sol-Gel. It makes a big difference for lasting. That's something that would help you right there. That would be an identifier on the advertisement that you're looking for. If you see Gel, you know that you're getting a higher quality bead. Translucent is somewhat clear, not as transparent. Light can pass through it, but it won't come back at you. And then, of course, transparent. Transparent light passes through a transparent bead, much like it would through a stained glass window. You can see through it. Transparent beads transmit light, and you can see into or through them, even when they're colored. They give a more lively or sparkly finish. Well, I hope that helps some of you to know what to look for with your seed beads. And I know we've only covered check. That's what I run. I run check. I would invite any of you to maybe have a discussion about Miyuki or some of the other brands that you use. Some of the other brands are cylinder. My Precocia are rounds, and they have a round hole. With the exception of the silver-lined or metal-lined beads, they have a square hole to reflect light back. That's my take on finishes. I hope that this is helpful for someone. Thank you for joining me here today. I'm Keeper of the Lost Arts here at A Life Uncommon. Bye, everyone.